Hey everybody, and welcome to my Mount Up review series where I review various Mount Up sets made by the company Blocktech. And today we're going to be taking a look at the Flame Trail Phoenix. This set comes with 192 pieces and is recommended for ages 8 and up. There's also 3 other mounts to collect in this wave. I have the greenback crab and the deep sea angler, so if you're interested in those reviews, be sure to subscribe to check them at a later date. We're going to start by taking a look at the minifigure in this set, and my favorite part about this minifigure has to be that golden phoenix printed across the chest. It's a really nice detail to let you know that this figure belongs with the Phoenix. If we turn the minifigure around, you can see there's not really a whole lot of detail. Having some printing or detail on the back of this figure would have been nice, but it's not something I was necessarily expecting. There's also some relatively nice printing on the chain skirt of the minifigure. You do have the option to remove the helmet from the minifigure, however, doing so makes the figure look weird. I'd recommend having the figure wear the helmet, otherwise it looks like he's had a craniotomy. One thing I found rather surprising about this minifigure is he has no articulation in the head. It is completely stuck. I know with other figures made by Blocktech, they're able to turn their head, so I'm not real sure what's going on here. The figure also comes with some articulation in the arms. They can be moved up and down just like you would see in a traditional Lego minifigure. And if we remove the figure's chain skirt, his legs also have some articulation in them as well, but with the chain skirt on, this is completely restricted. This set also comes with 6 different weapons for the minifigure to wield, which I think is a cool addition for kids in creative play. With the minifigure out of the way, we're now ready to talk about the Flame Trail Phoenix, which after seeing in person, I do have a little bit of mixed feelings about its design. I don't love it, but I also don't hate it. We're going to start with a top-down perspective of the Phoenix, and you can see it's made entirely of orange and yellow. These are of course the colors you'd expect a Phoenix to be, as it's typically a bird made of flame risen from the ashes. I do wish the Phoenix had a little bit more detail in the head, but this set retails for $5, and with that in mind, it's a relatively solid design. The neck and head of the Phoenix are on ball joints, which allows for some pretty good range of motion. You can have the neck move up and down and have the Phoenix look left to right. The head of the Phoenix can also move up and down, which can offer for some good posability for the head of this creature. The wings of the Phoenix also come with some articulation, however there is a downside. Both of the wings are able to move up and down, but I do find them to be relatively weak, especially on the tip of the feathers here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to raise each one up and down, and you're going to see a couple of them pop off like so. This is rather disappointing, especially in a toy for kids where they're going to be grabbing this thing and having it fly around. And like I said, these things easily pop off. When I'm raising them up, I am barely moving them and the pieces just come right off. I would have liked to have seen a way for the design to incorporate the wings to be a little bit stronger somehow. The Phoenix also has some range of motion in its tail feathers. They're on hinges, so all 3 of them are able to be moved up and down. Unlike the wings, I do feel like the tail feathers are relatively strong and I haven't had any issues with them. The last little bit of articulation we're going to take a look at is in the feet here. The legs of the Phoenix are able to be moved back and forth, and you can also have the toes move as well. The legs don't feel the most sturdy to me, so don't be surprised if they do pop off with play. The last thing I want to talk about is the overall branding with this series. The name of this line is called Mount Up, however there is no place to put the figure on the Phoenix. I also find it interesting that the box claims the minifigure to be a rider, however he's unable to ride the Phoenix. I do wish a place to seat the minifigure could have been incorporated into the Phoenix's design, especially when it is so heavily advertised on the box. And I may be overthinking this, the average kid may not care and they might just set the minifigure directly onto the Phoenix. But when the Phoenix decides to take flight, the minifigure is just going to end up falling off. This set retails for $5 and I picked it up at the store 5 below. And even though I have complaints, with this set being $5, I do think it's a relatively solid set. And I think it is well worth that $5 price tag. Let me know what you think of this set in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe to my channel for more brick-built content and reviews. Hey everybody, and welcome to my Mount Up review series where I review Mount Up sets made by the company Blocktech. And today we're going to be taking a look at the Deep Sea Angler. This set comes with 186 pieces and is recommended for ages 8 and up. There's also 3 other mounts to collect in this wave. I've already reviewed the Flame Trail Phoenix if you want to check that video in the description. I'm still waiting to find the Wrathful Raptor, and the Greenback Crab is what I'll be reviewing next. We're going to start off this review by taking a look at the minifigure that's included in this set. And I do like the design of this figure as a whole. I think the red and blue clash together very well and it looks appealing to the eye. I also don't necessarily mind the design of the character's helmet. I like the plastic visor that's included, that's a good touch. As we turn the minifigure around to the back, you can see there's no printed detail, which is to be expected. I'm not overly surprised by that. But the thing that I like most about this figure, as we turn him back to the front here, you can see there is a printed anglerfish on his torso, which is a great little attention to detail. If we remove the minifigure's helmet, you can also see he has a printed scuba mask over his mouth. And I like the design choice to make it red. I think it's a good color combination. This set includes 6 weapons for the minifigure to wield. And while I do like their inclusion, it would have been nice to have some kind of weapon that could be used underwater. With the minifigure out of the way, we're going to talk about the deep sea anglerfish, which I actually think has a rather strong design. I do like the red coloring with the little bits of white just to help break it up. And I think the orange color used for the bulb and eyes was a good color choice and it complements the overall build well. The anglerfish surprisingly comes with a pretty good range of articulation. The mouth is on a hinge, so you can move the bottom jaw up and down. The anglerfish's fishing rod is also on a ball joint, which allows for the bottom part of it to be rotated around, and then the top half here is on a hinge, allowing it to be moved up and down. The fish's eyes surprisingly have some articulation because they're on ball joints, so they can be moved around, but this was a design choice to help get the angle of the eyes and aren't necessarily meant to be moved in this way. The fish's fins are also on hinges, which allows for them to be moved up and down. And like I said a moment ago, I'm actually really surprised with how much articulation this build has. The last little bit of articulation we're going to be looking at is on the tail here, which is on a ball joint, which allows for a good variety of range of motion. It can be moved up and down and side to side. However, you have to hold directly onto the ball joint. If you try to move the tail from the bottom here, it's going to pop off really easily. The last thing that I want to talk about is the overall branding and name of this set. The line of this series is called Mount Up, and you can see on the box there the minifigure is holding on to the anglerfish. But if we take a look at the fish and where the character is supposedly grabbing, there is nowhere for the minifigure to hold on to, which I find rather disappointing because I like the idea of building a mount for these characters to ride on. The bottom corner of the box even calls the minifigure a rider, which I do find a little ironic because if you take the minifigure and try to sit him onto the anglerfish, he's just going to fall right off. I was able to get the minifigure to sit onto the anglerfish if I positioned him like so. But of course there's nowhere for him to actually hold on to, so if the fish decides to swim away, he's going to fall right off. I picked up this set at the store 5 Below for just $5. And even with my little complaints, I do feel like it is worth that price. I like the design of the minifigure and I think the anglerfish is actually a relatively strong build. Be sure to let me know what you think of this set in the comments below and maybe consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel for more brick built content and reviews. Hey everybody, and welcome to my Mount Up review series where I review various Mount Up sets by the company BlockTech. And today we'll be taking a look at the greenback crab. This wave has a total of 4 mounts for you to collect. They are the Flame Trail Phoenix, the Wrathful Raptor, and the Deep Sea Angler. I've already reviewed the Phoenix and the Angler on my channel, and I'll have those videos in the description below. We're going to kick things off by taking a look at the minifigure that comes in this set. The thing that I love most about these figures is how their design incorporates the mounts that they come with. If we take a look at the minifigure's chest, you can see he has a greenback crab tattoo. The minifigure is also wearing a grass skirt, but as you can see, it doesn't wrap all the way around the figure, which can look a little awkward. I'm not too surprised by this because all the figures that have come in this series so far don't have any printing on the back. But for a $5 set, I think it's a relatively solid figure. This set also comes with 6 weapons for the minifigure to wield, and you get a pretty good variety of different weapon types. With the figure and the weapons out of the way, we're now ready to talk about the actual mount itself, the greenback crab, which I think has a fine design, but I will admit it is probably my least favorite that I've reviewed so far out of the 3 based purely on the way that it looks. There are some choices in its design that I do appreciate, such as the 2 front claws here being different sizes. This is something that an actual species of crab called the fiddler crab has, and I think it's implemented well and is a good design choice. The front claws of the crab are on ball joints, which allows for them to be moved up and down and rotated around. Even with the claws on ball joints, I do feel like they are a little awkward to move around due to the shape of the claws. I don't think this is necessarily a big deal though, because it is a crab and how much range of motion will it actually have? There's also a little bit of articulation in the eyes of the crab. They're able to be moved up and down. It's nothing too crazy or exciting, but I suppose it is a nice addition to have. My least favorite part about this build has to be the design of the crab's legs. I'm not a big fan of the way they were designed, and I don't think they're very aesthetically pleasing to the eye. The first leg is on a hinge and it can be moved up and down, and it actually feels relatively solid. The 2 legs behind it are a different story though. The connection between the 2 bricks are very weak and they pop off very easily. This is my 3rd mount up set that I've reviewed so far, and it seems each one of these sets has some kind of weak point, and unfortunately it's no different with the greenback crab. Besides these 2 legs here, I do feel like the rest of the set is built relatively solid. The crab also has these 2 legs here in the back, and I think they look absolutely terrible. They're on hinges, so they have a little bit of articulation. They can be moved side to side, but if we rotate the crab, you can see that all the legs are touching the ground except for those ones in the back. They just look really awkward and out of place to me. What I'm going to do is you're actually going to see me remove the back legs of the crab here, and I actually think I prefer the way it looks without them. In my opinion, instead of building these back legs, I think these extra pieces could have been used to make the weak legs of the crab just a little bit stronger. Let me know what you think of this in the comments below. Do you think the crab looks better with or without those back legs? The last thing we're going to talk about is the actual name branding of this series, which is called Mount Up. And you can see depicted on the front of the box, the figure is riding on the back of the crab. There is no stud support on the back of the crab, but you can place the minifigure on top. However, there's nothing really supporting the figure, so if you move the crab, the figure is going to fall right off. However, there are studs on top of the claws of the crab, and you can place the minifigure on those. And I think this looks relatively good, and I'm happy to say that this figure can actually mount the creature that it comes with. I got this set for $5 at the store 5 below, and even though it is my least favorite out of the 3 that I've reviewed so far, I still think it is worth that $5 price tag. However, I do hope in the future that BlockTech is able to make sets that don't have such weak connections. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel for more brick built reviews.